Hey everyone, in this episode we'll be taking a look at the latest Marvel movie, Captain Marvel. We'll be exploring the characters, the story, and how it can all tie into Avengers Endgame. This is episode 125 of the Reel-ists podcast. Hey everyone, my name's Oscar.
Hey everyone, my name's Donnie.
Hey everyone, and we have our producer Ruben here as well. And we also have a very special guest star for today. We have Daniel. You may have heard of him from the previous episode.
Daniel, welcome back, buddy.
Hi, it's good to be back.
Thanks for coming.
We are going to be talking about the probably biggest movie of March, maybe, question mark. Who knows if another horror movie can top it, but... Captain Marvel is our movie for today. Yes, the latest installment for the MCU. I'm going to switch it up a little bit, Donnie. We know you usually go first on the quick thoughts, but we're going to throw the spotlight out here to the guest star.
Of course.
So, Daniel, give us just a quick thought of what you thought of the movie.
I thought it was a great movie. It was very Marvel, I guess. There were a lot of little jokes here and there that were really well placed. I also thought the action was just incredible, and the characters were really lovable. I can't say that I set the bar high or low going into the movie. I kind of went in with the expectation that it was going to be a Marvel movie, and I feel like I got exactly that.
Okay. All right. Swinging it over to you, Donnie. What's your quick thoughts on this one?
I second that. No, I'm just kidding. No, I really liked it. I was excited for it, obviously. And I will say I was a little hesitant about Brie Larson being Captain Marvel. When we knew that she was cast, I wasn't sure how to feel about that. Not because I don't like her or anything. I loved her in Room. I don't know. It was hard for me to picture, I guess. But boy, did she exceed my expectations. I thought she was great. Believable as Captain Marvel. Like Daniel said, it is a Marvel movie, so they kind of have that, they have a formula that works, and it's like good action, good CGI, these quirky little jokes, more so family fun. The villain's not super dark and villainous, and it's a little more on the lighter side. That's just what we get with Marvel, which is fine. And I liked it. It was a good film. Sorry. I don't know. I was going to say film and movie. Sorry. It was a good movie, and we'll go into more detail.
Okay. I agree on that. But yes, in case anyone was living under a rock and just happened to not know that there are 21 movies Marvel out there, or it's 20th, with this one being the 21st. This one is Carol Danvers becoming one of the universe's most powerful heroes when Earth is caught in the middle of a galactic war between two alien races. This was directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, with Brie Larson as the lead, Samuel Jackson, and Jude Law, and Clark Gregg. So a lot of well-known cast of people that you may see.
Annette Bening.
Yeah, Annette Bening. Yes, absolutely. So great cast here. So my thoughts on this one, not that. I don't know why I made it sound like it was like. Anyways,
how I feel about it is
yeah, you guys did great, but no, I think it's on par practically for a lot of it. Yes, it's Marvel in the sense that it is very formula, repetitive in that motion, but it works, and I heard it, and I think it does apply best that when you go see a Marvel movie, you know what you're getting now.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people look forward to, and I think that's what helps it know that I can take my kids to see this, because I'm not going to get, Iron Man no longer with a head or anything like that.
Yeah, it's not going to derive or stray too far from what they've been doing with previous films.
Yeah.
And I think, that people, like you said, people know what they're going to get, and they're fine with that. It's I don't mean to bring this up again, but when The Rock had his interview about when he was doing, what was the last?
Oh, Skyscraper?
Skyscraper. And no, sorry. The one, was it the King Kong? Or what? The one with the ape? Rampage.
Yes.
When he was saying how they wanted to kill Rampage in the end. originally, but he said no, like, I don't want that sad ending. That's not why people come to see my films. They come because, you know, they want to leave on a happy note and we want to be victorious and this and that. He was very passionate about that, but I think that's true with the audiences, like, you know, especially the audience that loves the MCU and is into these kind of films. Like, you know, this is we've essentially 10 years, going on 11 years. It's like by now we know what kind of film we're gonna get when Marvel's puts it out, you know. So it's like,
Absolutely.
I think there's a certain expectation, but like you said, like parents, you know, they can take their kids and know that, oh, this is gonna be fun and enjoyable for my kids, but it's not gonna be too graphic or too gory or too scary or whatever, you know.
Absolutely, yeah, and then that's the one thing that works. So, I mean, I was surprised by Brie Larson. I didn't think she couldn't do it. I was just more in the distracted of all the comments and everything going on before the movie came out about the whole feminist thing and like a lot of the negative reviews already attacking the movie. So I would say like that is what was concerning me was, is she gonna bring this bad lighting to you know Marvel? But fortunately, as a movie itself, she is able to prevent that. She's able to shine. I see her as Captain Marvel now. I think she did a really solid job in making us believe in this character. And also get excited that this character is going to be interacting with the other characters we already love. So yeah. So in case you haven't been aware, this is a spoiler discussion. So just wanted to make sure we mentioned that because we're going to go into spoiler details here.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. So I think one of the biggest aspects of the Captain Marvel movie is the whole introduction to her, because she's going to have a part in Avengers Endgame. So I just wanted to ask this question: were you guys going into this movie partially because you know she's going to be in Avengers Endgame, so you kind of had that like, well, I want to make sure I like this character, I need to know how she's really going to make a difference? Or were you guys going to be like, no, I don't care what her connection is, I'm just respecting this movie as it is? How did you guys go into this?
I went in this movie because I was really expecting to see what was so good, not to say good about, but like what would make her the game changer for this next movie, the Endgame. And mostly because I thought it was interesting that we haven't seen or heard of her, and I was wondering why that is. Like, you know, if this is such a big, you know, player on the field, I was kind of curious as to where she had been this whole time. Also, like, how is it that, you know, how is it that so much time has passed and, you know, she's not aging, things like that. I was just wondering, like, what was her power, what made her different, what made her stronger, and kind of what connected her to Nick Fury as well. So, and I feel like this movie really delivered on all that. It was really pleasant, like, surprise that she was such a strong and powerful character. Like, it was incredible. I loved it. It was amazing.
Sweet. Sorry, lost my train of thought. Daniel gave such a compelling answer just then. I went into this movie, yes, partly because, to answer your question, Oscar, I felt like I know she's going to be in Endgame, so I needed to know, you know, I needed to see what happened. Well, let me retract here. Sorry, guys. I knew she was going to be in Endgame. Now, you don't necessarily need to see Captain Marvel to move forward because this is like a prequel. This is like, you know, before Endgame, before Infinity War, before all the other films except for Captain America. Sorry. However, I knew that she was going to be in it, so I needed to know, you know, because I didn't know anything about Captain Marvel. Like Daniel was saying, what's her power? Why is she so strong? Why is she such a force to be reckoned with? Why haven't we heard from her? I think one of the biggest questions that was popping up in my mind during watching the movie and after watching the movie was, where has she been when all of this stuff has been going down in all these other movies and all these Avenger movies, or you know, Thor movies, or anytime that intergalactic beings were threatening Earth and mankind? Like, where was she then? I do think that in Endgame they will address some of that. I'm sure. I'd be shocked if they just kept that swept under the rug and didn't address it at all. I'm sure they're gonna bring up something from Avengers or something where they're like, you know, where were you then, or why didn't Nick Fury contact you about this or whatever? And maybe she'll be like, well, I told him to only do it in emergencies. I don't know. I'm sure they will address it though, because I feel like we're not the only ones who thought that, you know, because at the end of Captain Marvel, when she gave him the pager, she was like, only use this in case of an emergency, and we all, I think collectively, were like, Okay, there's been like 17
So
emergencies.
Loki coming to invade.
Right, like you're telling me
Ultron coming to
all these
invade.
other events that happened like weren't real emergencies. Like, and Nick Fury knew, like he had confidence that he was gonna get through all those just fine without the help of Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
But anyways,
What I think they should do, I mean, they're not going to do this, but I think this would be a funny little gag to have, would be they should, like, at the end of Endgame, they show her, and then, like, they put a title at the bottom and says 2012, and this is after, like, everything is taking place in the movie, and then she lands, and Nick Fury's like, oh, no, just kidding, we're good. And so she leaves.
Oh,
and
a
it
series
shows-
of cuts of her coming to help, and he's like, "We're good. We're fine.
We got it. Oh,
or like maybe every time he's tried to page her and she's been doing something stupid, like oh, you know, like I don't know, like doing her washing her hair, or like she's like
As it
been
was
dancing.
beeping?
Huh?
as her pager was
Yeah,
like-
her pager's going off and she's like cooking an omelet with her music in her ears, and she can't, you know, like every time, all these times Nick Fury has tried to reach out to her and like she just keeps missing the pages.
That would be hilarious, actually. I would be okay with that.
That'd be funny.
I see that as one of those end credits that Marvel would do, but I don't think they are going to do it because I feel like the end of Endgame is kind of going to be like that whole.
Like the end of an
I
era.
don't see it. Not to get a little off topic, but I don't see a post credit teaser for Endgame. I feel like they
There
want.
shouldn't be one.
I feel like they want to end it
Like
with
this
that.
is gonna wrap it up,
Yeah.
but
so to
without-
speak.
Right. Like this is the end.
The
like
curtain
of this
drawing.
of this era, and a beginning of a new era. I don't know.
But then they might want to tease Spider-Man or one of the other movies that are going to come out for the fall. I mean, it's not like Marvel is ending.
Right. It's just. I mean, it's yeah.
But it's just like you just have this 2-part movie about dealing with Thanos, and then at the end you can't just have another villain just be like, "Now it's my turn." And
yeah.
I'd be like,
That's what
"Ah."
I'm saying. Like, I don't think that would. It would be weird, you know.
But even having a funny post-credit scene also wouldn't feel right. Like we just, I'm assuming here with the assumption that we're losing characters. If we're gonna be losing characters, I don't know if we should have a funny.
I think they should,
Post-credit.
if we're gonna say goodbye to like Tony Stark, for example, or something, they should do like an in memoriam type of send off kind of scene, or something. Maybe not a I don't know, kind of
Nothing new, but more.
nothing new, but just something
Closure?
Yeah, like some I don't know, like
If
I can't think of anything right now, but just something clever that would be like that would just send him off in a. It's kind of like the final bow. Like
I could see it. I can only see it with a little comedy touch to it. Like I can see, for example, them doing where like Tony Stark left a message to someone, and it was kind of him like making it sound like he was
Mocking.
like leaving, or he's like, oh, this, I know it's gonna be hard to say goodbye, but like the things that you would be like, ouch, man, he's saying that, it feels like so true because he's dead, but he's really saying it about like something.
Well,
about,
we don't
like,
know if he's gonna die.
Right, we don't know, but I'm just saying, following what Donnie was going with. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Back to this current movie.
Yeah, we're already on Endgame. We're like,
I mean, that just goes to show you the excitement for it, and that's one of the reasons why Captain Marvel had a lot of success. I think personally was because people wanted to see this and see the connections going to have to Endgame, particularly her powers and everything she's going to bring. But yeah, no, overall I was excited. I will say the one thing that it's not an issue necessarily had with, but was just the whole, like, I understand this was the 90s and they de-aged Samuel Jackson, but like, yes, he did look great. He looked like he was younger. But at the same time, in my head, I'm just like, but he's not. Like when he was running, like I felt like I was like, he doesn't look like he's running at his age. He looks like he's running at his current age.
or like there was the scene where he was kneeling down to pet the kitty, and then she was like, Fury, and like, let's go. And then like the way he got up, it looked like, not to be nitpicky, but it did look like
Right.
his age was being shown. Like it looked like he struggled a little bit to just get up. Got to be careful for the knees. Got to watch the knees.
Exactly.
So-
And it's, again, it's not like, this is not like saying it's like the bad thing, but it was just one of those things where it's like, I understand that we have that technology, but I don't know if maybe we could have just had him be used slightly a little bit, and then maybe had another different character kind of take that role, maybe like her best friend.
No way. I
don't
loved it. Nick Fury was great. I think the de-aging it looked really good, and I think it's kind of hard to give Nick Fury like brand new knees and take away all the joint pain from aging. But I thought it was actually really wonderful. I thought it was amazing. I was impressed. I didn't look at his face and think, oh, like that's bad CGI, or oh, I can see the CGI. You know, I kind of felt that way watching Avengers: Infinity War. You know, there was that scene in Wakanda where the Avengers and the bad guys are separated by the shield that protects Wakanda, and the bad guys are standing in the sun, and you can just tell that they're computer generated.
Oh yeah, when they go and have that encounter, that
And it's
before the
not
fight.
like practical makeup, but completely computer generated. And in this movie with Captain Marvel, I didn't feel like Nick Fury was computer generated.
Right.
He looked real.
Yeah, right. And then that's the pro to it, but it's just to myself, and that's why I said it's not a con. It's not like I'm saying this is why this movie deserves a 1 or anything. But it's just like I felt like I well, not to say to recast. No, I don't think they needed to recast him. I think the way they used Agent Coulson was the kind of amount they should have used Nick Fury in this one. Like, I understand that they were trying to make it relevant to, like, oh, this is, connecting to the Marvel characters. This is a character you already love, so why not go see it? But I just don't think Nick Fury is going to be that key component in this movie. I feel like they could have easily created a new character or used someone that would have worked in this movie a little bit better that we have seen maybe in the past. I feel like because I knew this was Samuel Jackson with just makeup on, that it was kind of just like, I know I'm not going to get a lot from him because it's things that he can't do if it was like a modern day, like if this was without the makeup.
I see. I think they had to establish that Nick Fury and Captain Marvel had some kind of relationship, because the first thing she says when she gets back to Earth in that little snippet of trailer that we got for Avengers Endgame was, "Where's Fury?" So
that could have been easily modified. You could have easily just been...
but I don't know that there are any other characters that have, that lived through that timeline they needed. And in order to also like keep her preserved as a secret for this movie,
I could see that.
Because I can't say that, Captain Marvel was hinted at ever in any other movies.
I don't believe so. Nothing outside of Infinity War at the tease, but yeah.
Yeah.
But that was just one thing watching it, and I would see it, and I'm not saying he had bad CGI, but it was just one of those back in my head. I was just like, I know I'm not going to get anything too outlandish from Nick Fury, because, yeah, they could have used a stunt double, yeah, they could have done that, but I just felt like with Samuel Jackson, we're going to get more of him doing some talking and doing some reactions, rather than, like, him actually running. Like, he did have a fight sequence in that facility, but it was very limited, and you can I kind of felt like it was like, I can see where the real life age is showing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just something I wanted to make a note of that I observed from this movie. So I mean, was there any particular standout? Did you guys like the Kree, the Skrulls? Those are two new races. Well, the Kree have already been introduced in Guardians of the Galaxy, but the Skrulls were firstly introduced, who, let me just say here, are bad guys in the comics.
So you really had an issue with this
whole like, they're good character, and I know the argument is, well, not all of them are bad, and I'm like, yeah, that's true, but the villain's name is Talos, and Talos is a bad character in the comics. That's like saying making Lex Luthor a good guy, which they do in the comics. That's another issue. Never mind. Scratch that.
Well, it's like, too, like, I mean, this is completely off kilter a little bit. Well, not really, but it's like the whole, when you go see Wicked on Broadway, and it's like the pre-story of how the witch and the good witch and the bad witch were best friends, and how she wasn't always bad. So I that's kind of what I thought immediately after hearing you say they're bad, they're evil in the comics. I'm like, maybe they're just going for this kind of like prelude, like, yeah, bad. Once upon a time
they were friends.
Yeah,
but I guess to my first introduction to them, I wanted that, like, they're not to be trusted kind of feeling, and instead I got more of like, I want to be best friends with them so they can, crack jokes and change into something funny.
Yeah, we got that initially. We didn't trust them because we thought they were
funny.
The bad guys, but then their narrative changed, and they were kind of presumed to be the good guys, really, that were just trying to fight for their own, for their people to have a home, and so they were likable. I did like them in the movie, and
more so than the Kree.
Yeah. And their powers are dope. I mean, they can shapeshift into, like, they just gotta look at somebody and then they can shapeshift into them. That's dope. Oh my lord! If I had that power, can't even tell you what I'd do. But But no,
Let's have this discussion, Donnie. What would you do?
no. But yeah, I really liked them, and I really felt for them, and the dad too. Or he was a father.
Talos.
Yeah. Are his kids mentioned in the comics? Like, I mean, does he like have like a wife and kids?
Nothing
And
to
are
the
they all?
extent of like we have history of them. I think the daughter becomes some kind of character, like a bigger character at some point, but it never became like a huge thing, or like in the sense where Miles Morales kind of level, like you never got to like that level where it's like he's right below Peter Parker now or anything like that. So, but yeah, I mean, I get it. Like I get, you couldn't have two alien races fighting each other, because at that point then you'd been like, we're gonna lose because we have two attacking us.
Yeah. I really liked the whole, like, initially we thought like the Kree were the good ones and the Skrulls, is that what they're called? They were the bad ones, and they flip-flopped, and it wasn't the biggest like plot twist in the world,
the shock of Jude Law being a villain?
I didn't trust him from the get-go.
I trusted him with all my heart.
I didn't, because
The flip of the century.
didn't see it coming. Huh?
I didn't even see it coming.
I didn't trust him initially because like she couldn't remember like her past. Like she only was getting like bits and pieces. So I knew that something was gonna come to light at some point in the film. Like we're gonna get the whole story, and I figured that he had something to do with it. And especially kind of that old saying of like keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. I just felt like because at first it seemed like they just had such a good relationship and rapport with one another. So I was like, I don't trust it. I feel like something's gonna be shady. And lo and
because she had the memory situation. So if she didn't have that, you think you would have been.
And because he kept saying too, like he kept saying something along the lines of stop focusing on the past.
Right.
Look to focus on the now or something like that. So I'm like, why would
That's what all mentors say.
Yeah, but I mean, well, Daniel, can you not disrupt my freaking train of thought, please? But yeah, I just with those little tidbits, I was just like something. I don't know. It wasn't that I thought he was the bad guy. I just didn't trust him. I felt like he was going to be caught up in something, or that had something to do with her not being able to remember anything.
I could see that. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough because if you know the comics, you know what you're getting from this character and her like surrounding supporting cast. So it was kind of with like. It wasn't a surprise. It was just going to be more about execution. Did they execute this to the point where I could be like, oh, they did a good job of like really covering for it. And they really did a good job of covering the Skrulls more so than the Kree. The Kree was just kind of like, they just have their like, our mindset is the right way. Everything else is wrong. So you can tell kind of already that they're not going to be the best in terms of like good morale. But yeah, no, I mean, it was just one of those things to me how they were going to execute. And I thought they did a good job for the most part. It wasn't like I don't expect what Daniel was saying, like the biggest surprise here, the turn of the century, flip of the century, as he's calling it.
I wouldn't say all that,
right?
But it was nice.
It was done well.
I really also like the fact that we got to see the Tesseract so much in this one, and kind of see like that's how Captain Marvel got her powers, how Carol got her powers,
not Vers,
in the first place. That was really cool, because we've seen.
And it was pointed out that like most of these characters in the Avengers lineup have their powers come from one of the
Infinity Stones. Yeah.
To some degree. So. Did that just come? Oh, just mind blowing.
Mind blown.
Wow, that hit me hard.
He's gonna be gone for the rest of the episode.
He can't even continue. He's like, I can't.
But no, yeah. So that was like a nice little. It's nice. It is not correct in the comic wise. It's in that same realm that she got her powers by like an explosion mixed with blood fusion and stuff like that. But this one kind of took making what was making the movies work, incorporating that into the character, which I thought was a nice blend. I don't think it was forced. I think it was a nice blend. What I do think was forced was them trying to explain how the Tesseract got to Nick Fury with the first post-credit scene. Or is that the last?
The last one.
Oh, that's right, because it is in his possession. They have it when Loki goes to get it in Avengers.
Right, because it goes from Thor. No, it goes from Captain America, where he loses it off the ship, and then shows up at the end of Thor in the post-credit where Nick Fury shows it, and then it goes into Avengers, Loki getting it from S.H.I.E.L.D. So... yeah, it was kind of like they never really explained how they got it, and then now they try to explain with like the cat was the transportation between the
wait.
ship, outer space.
If I recall correctly, actually, I think I remember that Howard Stark, Tony Stark's dad, actually finds it at the bottom of the sea when looking for.
Right. Oh, you're right.
Looking for Steve Rogers.
So it wasn't Marvel. So that's what I thought it was Marvel, that she found it too, because she was using it. Unless she partnered up with Mr. Stark.
Oh,
I don't know.
Maybe
I was really hoping to see like Howard Stark or any
Somebody.
a
younger.
a young Tony Stark run across the scene. I mean, when they were going to that,
It was the 90s. It wasn't that. It was like.
oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, I mean,
He would be like.
he would be
in the
10 years
20s.
younger than he was in the first Iron Man. So, maybe.
So he's,
Well, maybe more. I don't think that was like a 98 film. Wait, when did it come? It came out in 2008. So it wouldn't. This film took place in what? I'd say like 94-ish.
Blockbuster. When was
There was Blockbuster with all them.
The entire 90s.
Speaking of the 90s, I do like all the little 90s nostalgia little Easter
yeah.
eggs we got, all the music that they were playing, the soundtracks, the whole gags about the slow
Computer loading.
That was a really
great.
fun joke.
1995.
95. All right, you're off. It was good though. I liked it. I really appreciated that.
I gotta say, like, I think I might be the generic audience member, like, no face, just like shows up, enjoys the movie, because I enjoyed the spit out of this movie. It was great. I don't know. I think, like, I usually enjoy Marvel movies. Like, I'm not to say that I don't enjoy them. Like, I usually do enjoy them a lot. But this movie, like, was just hitting the nail on the head. I loved this movie. It was so much fun.
Was there anything that you didn't like about the movie, or anything you'd want to change, or?
No, I there's nothing I want to change, and I think that's mainly due to the fact that I went in blind. I wasn't really sure who Captain Marvel was. I didn't know any of the comic book lore or anything about it. I had no background. It was just, I saw her name and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm interested.
I same. I mean, same boat. I will say one of the few critiques I have for the film is that a lot of her jokes, where they were intended to be funny, it just came off a little
Smart, snarky.
just a little kitschy, a little
Cliche.
maybe is what I'm trying to say. But I mean, I'm sure for like, I feel like for like a younger audience, they would like eat it up, like preteens and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like
she was really sassy.
She
really
had,
sarcastic.
she was sassy, and I guess I don't know, is she that sassy in the comics? Maybe they tried to up the sass level because it's like the first like Marvel female like lead superhero, and they really were all about the girl power, even in that latter half of the film's fight sequence when she was fighting with Jude Law, and they had the "I'm Just a Girl" No Doubt song playing. And I thought that was a little like, okay, guys, like we get it.
I felt that one.
It's
with
like
that song.
We get it. Girls rule. We get it. You don't have to like keep reiterating that idea.
Beyonce
But
told us already.
yeah. Who run this mother? But that's it. Those are probably the only few critiques I have for the film.
I would say the one critique that I have is just the inability to really make this become something about like her characters, and there was just a lot of things that were still tying into the other movies that yes, if you watch it, you get rewarded because you connect
It's
it and
like,
understand it,
Yeah.
but
It's not like it's like this is like we didn't show up to see this movie. This is the feeling I get, that a lot of people didn't show up to see this movie because they truly want to know who Captain Marvel is, and like she's gonna be like this is gonna be a complete like standalone film, and her story is like that's all we care about. It's like a lot of the draw was for Endgame. I feel like a lot of
and see, the thing was, to compare it, Black Panther was its own thing. Like maybe like the way it started was a little bit off of finishing from Civil War, but the entire movie is its own thing. Here with Captain Marvel, I just kept waiting for those like references and everything that connects to everything else. I don't know, maybe because it's on Earth, that maybe like it's on like, oh, I don't know what city it was, but maybe it was just that we were not in a unique location, a complete different world, I guess. But yeah, it felt a little different than the way Black Panther felt.
I can see that.
So Yeah, I mean, and we hadn't seen Infinity War, so we hadn't had the impact of it yet. But
Yeah, and that's another thing too. I mean, you get like this movie and Ant-Man and the Wasp, like, these films that are kind of sandwiched in between Infinity War and Endgame. So it's like, I mean, not to say that it makes they're just filler films or they're bad films. It's just, I think the excitement and the anticipation and all the focus right now is the second part to Infinity War, Endgame, because we know it's gonna be. As like I said, essentially kind of like the end of an era. Like we know we're gonna
we should.
That's what we think. We think we're gonna say goodbye to some people. It's gonna wrap up some of these characters for us and tie up some of these loose ends. And we're gonna move forward into like a kind of a new era.
Right.
So
would you guys say you guys want more Goose in the movies in the future Marvel movies?
The cat.
Yeah.
What were they? What was it called?
A flow.
Furker?
A
Flurin? A flurkin? Wasn't it a flurkin?
A flurkin. I think it's flurkin.
I think that sounds about right.
Okay.
Would I want to see more of it?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I imagine that. Well,
I'd want to see more. Like, can they? They don't just have to be cats, right? They can look like anything.
I think they're cats.
Although specifically, they look like cats.
Look cats. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
They didn't like transform into a cat, I believe.
Like, because that's why the scroll. Is that who they're called?
What?
The scroll. Is that what they are?
Yes.
And the Kree. That's why they were scared of them, because they recognized what it looked like.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it wouldn't hurt.
It helped with the joke, like it's just a cat.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at it.
I'd like to see like
we saw a couple of those running around in Endgame or something. I'd be like, sure, or or whatever. Spider-Man, far and away, or whatever it's called, Far From Home.
Far and away. Up and away. Dang, this is a Star Wars Spider-Man crossover coming 2021.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, I asked that because a lot of the talk of this movie is people loving Goose, and now that there's like a cat mascot.
It wasn't even that I loved Goose so much. I just loved Fury's interaction with Goose, and it was more so on his end.
I think Fury.
Where we got those.
Fury probably sold it more.
Yeah. I don't like, now that this brings me to another point. Where they're trying to kind of tell us how Fury lost his eye, and why he wears an eye patch, and I don't really like that. I feel okay. So the first incident he had with his eye was in a car accident. And then the second, and then he got scratched in that same eye by the Flurkin, which I don't know why did Goose scratch him in the first place?
Got too close?
I guess, whatever. But B, it's like, he only scratched the outside of your eye. Yeah, I guess maybe it got infected down the line and then he lost it, but they didn't show us that, and there wasn't any indication that it actually hit the eyeball. So I was like, how does...
You're right. Like, it felt like it just got, like, the
just the skin and the eyelids and the cheek. So I was a little like, if you're going to scratch him, make it... Show us, like, he goes, like, he grabs his eye and he's like, oh, I can't see now, or something. Or make it a little more believable.
It was
not
a little
just
lackluster,
Yeah. A little anticlimactic.
I have a question. So, do the two of you think that this movie established Captain Marvel as a character that would be a game changer in Endgame?
Yes,
I think so.
But just because of her powers.
Yeah.
In the same way of it's like the Incredible Hulk in the first Avengers. Like
for what she can do, for her abilities, yes.
But like her character itself, I don't necessarily think so.
Well,
but just her abilities.
I don't think
she didn't prove like she's a smart thinker and she thinks on her feet and she's able to find ways to
her powers are like traveling at light speed and
I mean, I feel like too
energy.
this was a film of, some aspect to this film was like it was about self-discovery, and she was trying to figure out who she was and where she came from. So it's like she didn't even know who she was or what she was or until the end of it. So I don't really think that we got a fair chance to there wasn't an opportunity to really establish who this person is, like who her, like what her personality is and her quirks and her every like personal things, because she was trying to figure it out and we were trying to figure it out with her. It was like,
I mean, I think that's for every Marvel movie. I can't say that they established so much personality of every Avenger yet
in the first movie,
in their first
debut.
I mean, we'll see more of her in Endgame. So I'm assuming,
I think we'll get a better sense of who she
Well, supposedly though,
she might change.
Supposedly, and this could be incorrect, but supposedly she filmed her parts in Endgame before she filmed Captain Marvel. So you may not even get like a following up Brie Larson performance of Captain Marvel. You might get it backwards, where she might look a little bit like she doesn't know who she is yet, kind of.
Dang.
Well, I mean, that she's an actress. Like, depending on how the writing is, she's gonna play the part that they give her.
I mean, ideally, but still, like
if they tell her that she's this hard, like, war veteran that's just seen so much, she'll probably play the dark hero.
But given that we saw Captain Marvel and we know it, we would have, we get a little bit of a, like, open arms to some degree of, like, she would be nice, she'd be friendly, she wouldn't just, like, attack us, like, we wouldn't fear her. But, like, if we'll see how it plays out. Maybe, because I'm sure she had both scripts. I'm sure it's not like she didn't know what's going to happen in Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
But they didn't, from my understanding, they didn't film it until after they filmed her parts in Infinity War, or not Infinity War, in Endgame. So we'll just see how that plays out. But very interesting to kind of, we'll see how that goes, to see if she does, if there's, like, a difference. We'll see. We'll have that.
Maybe she's darker. Maybe something did happen with the Skrulls. Maybe she doesn't trust people anymore.
And that's fair. And that's absolutely is fair.
She didn't come back with Skrulls. She came back by herself.
She did.
Yeah, I mean, and that was 95, and now we're in 2019, so that's
25 years?
I don't know. I'm not good at math.
Yeah, about 20. I mean, 24.
95.
She's been missing 25
15,
years.
24 years.
I don't know if what it depends on how Endgame starts. If it's starting a few months after, then it's still 2018.
So then,
I thought it's been time.
23
I thought
years.
it's been a certain amount of time because they've been able to figure out that half the population on Earth is gone.
But yeah, you don't need a whole year to figure that out.
I mean,
we'll see.
It takes time.
I mean, they already knew that was going to happen. And, like, did they have to figure that out? What do you mean that half the population's gone?
Yeah.
Like, they knew that was going to happen as soon as Thanos
they
got all the
explained.
Infinity Stones. So it's not like they have to go, like, do, like, a consensus. Like, okay, we have to, like, see if there's
Well,
only
yeah.
half
I
the-
mean, when's the last time you trusted a total angry stranger that he was?
I mean, but you know that he's gonna. You know what's gonna happen. You know the consequences from Thanos.
But they don't know.
So, with
Maybe.
we'll save this argument for Endgame.
No, Daniel. You know what?
See me outside.
But any particular standout scenes? Anything that you guys enjoyed from this one?
Her showcasing her powers in space. It's pretty awesome.
When the final, like, destroying the ships.
Yeah, like
Okay.
it's like when she's like finally like essentially she's the shackles are gone. It's just full fledged power surging through her. I thought that was great.
I will say my particular scene that I enjoyed. I actually enjoyed the whole, like, searching portion that the first arc did when she got to Earth and she was, like, trying to look for the scrolls. I kind of like that little journey that her and Nick Fury started to have. Mm-hmm. And I would say that search with the Stan Lee cameo, I thought that entire, like, moment was probably one of the exciting parts of it, and it's what got me hooked, because I was like, okay, well, I don't know why, but when it was in outer space, I was like, I was like, the outer space stuff doesn't really wasn't connecting to me necessarily. I was wanting her to be on Earth, and so when it got to Earth, I feel like it did a well, like, interest of keeping us hooked, even though we're going to be on Earth now and not in outer space. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I would say that was my particular favorite scene. Like when we found out Coulson was, like, the scroll and Nick Fury.
Oh, so good to see Coulson.
Mm-hmm. I really, there's a lot of scenes that I probably one of the ones that comes to mind. I liked when we got to see her and Marvel flying the jet, and they were trying to run away from
they were being attacked by the Kree.
Yes. And then that whole scene, like, they crash, and then, what was Jude Law's character's name?
Jan Reg or something like that.
So then he comes out, and she's like, the whole, like, she shoots the core and tries to destroy it, and, like, that whole, I really like that, because that was cool, because we got to see, like, that. Well, we got to see the scene finally play out, because we kept getting little flashbacks to it, but we didn't get to, they waited to show us the whole scene.
I wasn't a fan of that kind of, like,
flashback, like,
recap.
gets bits and pieces.
Yeah,
I liked that. I really liked that, because I knew they were gonna unveil everything and show us at some point.
Like, I feel like that would have worked in a way that we weren't gonna delve into her origin in this movie. Like, it would be nice to get a little bit of tease of, like, what happened, and then following later in a different movie, we'll find out her origin.
Well, I think it was important because they had to establish the reason that she trusted the Kree and believed that she was, part of the Kree. Mm-hmm. because they had essentially. I don't think she lost her memory from the explosion that gave her the powers. I think that the Kree kidnapped her because she was passed out and then brainwashed her with the what is it, the maximum intelligence, the supreme intelligence. That's what they call it, their AI leader. So I think it was kind of important that they showcased like why is it that she trusts them so much, and essentially her memory had just been overwritten, that everything that she knew was a lie. Her memories were played with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. That's a good point. All right, so with all this said, not including our excitement for Avengers Endgame here, but what is our score for Captain Marvel?
What's this out of?
Out of 5.
5.
Yeah.
That's his
Out
score.
of-
That's my score.
Oh, okay.
I love this movie. I'll see it again.
Wow.
Wow.
I'd watch it again in theaters.
Wow.
Okay.
But you're going to be seeing Shazam, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I really did like this film. I thought it was a really good film. A lot, I don't want to repeat myself too much, but there were just a couple of things that not necessarily didn't land for me, but I don't feel like this movie took any risks. And I think that they knew what the kind of film that the audience wanted, which is fine, but I would have liked to have seen something, I don't know, a little not so Marvel-y.
Yeah.
And just something, I don't know. And also, like I said, I think a lot of the excitement was because of Endgame, and I think that they gave us a good film that's like a good film right before Endgame, so yeah, 4 out of 5. I'm just
Okay.
trying to find words, but let me just say 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's also a 4 for me as well. I think it did a really solid job entertaining us and keeping us enjoying it, which is what Marvel is known, at least knows how to do more so, and what they're known for as well. But I will say, like, the things that were a bother were typical of what we're getting from Marvel, and so it's nothing new, nothing that's out of the ordinary in that sense. And to me, like, I feel like there was less things that were impactful that makes us want to come back to this immediately, outside of Daniel. It sounds like, but I compare this to the origin stories for the other heroes we've seen: Captain America, Iron Man, the Incredible Hulk, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, and I feel like it's right in that middle where it was good and entertaining, but it wasn't impactful or didn't have something that made you go back to this, at least for myself. Because to me, it's still, and it's Black Panther and Iron Man that's still on top, and I feel like those delivered solid stories. And and maybe because it was self-contained, maybe to some extent, maybe there was no feeling of this bigger narrative going around this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just feel like it didn't land it, but it's still a solid movie. It's a great introduction to this character.
Yeah. Agreed.
Has so many new things that were fun to see. Some returning faces that were, a nice treat. So I feel like it did a solid job in keeping this Marvel train going to the next stop. But yeah, I feel like it was solid overall. The things that you would have issues with it, you probably would say that for a number of
A
Marvel
few other
movies,
films
yeah.
from Marvel, yeah.
I have to say, actually, just really quick, one of my favorite scenes was the scene of like where she is fighting the Supreme Intelligence in her own mind. She's like got shackles on, and she's in her mind, and the Supreme Intelligence is essentially beating her up and keeps knocking her down, and she keeps standing up. And there's that scene where the Supreme Intelligence asks her, "Why won't you quit?" And then it has these flashbacks of her as a little girl standing up all beaten, of her as a teenager standing up all beaten, and her joining the Air Force, after falling off the ropes, beaten, or she had like a bloody nose, but standing up in defiance. And then she just says, "It's 'cause I'm human." I think that was like the moment of like self, I don't want to say realization, but like, discovery that she kind of, it reaffirmed like who she was. Like that was the moment when she stopped having all the doubts, and she was confident in who she was, and That's when she also
could
gets
see that, yeah.
all of her powers.
Yeah.
And that scene,
Very
that
inspiring,
whole,
too.
That whole scene, yeah, made my throat really tight. I started choking up. It's great.
It was like
Yeah, to lead the
I had to
air.
like try to do CPR on him.
You didn't know how the movie
Give him the
ends.
Heimlich maneuver.
Ruben, did you see this movie? He has not, so it's a 1 out of 5 from Ruben.
Harsh.
Man,
Harsh, Ruben.
dang, not on a
What does
Marvel
it take?
movie.
What does it take to get a good score from you?
Always he has to see. But yeah, so that's going to be our review for Captain Marvel. Hopefully you enjoyed this discussion we had about the film and the excitement we have for Endgame.
Woo!
So be on the lookout for that when that comes out. Not August. Oh, I'm delaying
Whoa,
it.
April.
It's breaking news. I delayed it. April 26th. We will be there absolutely for that. But yes, hopefully you enjoyed this film. If you can, please leave us some comments on our social media. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Team Reelists. That's Team REELISTS with no dash. And you can also review us on iTunes. We would love to hear your feedback of what you have for us. Anything that can be in terms of like what can help us to get better, what works, what doesn't work, any kind of that constructive thing going on. We would greatly appreciate it. You can always comment on YouTube if you have any just things you want to say about us, I guess, if you want to have that. But yeah,
Nice things.
Thank you, Daniel.
I want to say.
Constructive things.
there you go. Daniel, what's your review of our podcast? Let's see. Let's put you on the spotlight.
I love this podcast. Been a fan since day one. You should see the seething look in his eyes. I've never felt real fear like
Oh my
this.
God, whatever.
No pros, no cons. Okay, all right. But
We'll take it.
we'll take it.
Thank you so much for joining us again, Daniel. We really appreciate it, man.
It was great.
Always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. You need to
was
see the
being
look.
sincere.
You need to see the look I gave him off camera. Off camera,
I've-
off mic,
Off mic.
off mic.
We ain't filming nothing. Not yet.
But yes, thank you everyone for tuning into this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, see ya.
See ya.
Bye.